So, welcome back to Poll Watcher Training. This unit is Poll Watcher Basics. So, it'll be a refresh for all of you stalwarts who have come back to Poll Watch again this year. But let's get right into it, and I will share my screen. So, Poll Watcher Basics, hopefully, most of you will be remembering most of this, and you'll just go, oh, yeah, I know that. So when you go to a voting location, whether it's during early voting or election day, you're going to see this is the team that you're going to see inside the chief and assistant chief, the team of election officers, and if it's election day, you're likely to see high school pages there to help out and to get their civil service hours. You may also see an election officer rover. Now, during early voting, these rovers are going to function in the same as last year's collection officer, in that every day they'll be coming by the polling site to pick up the drop box ballots from the day before, the ballots from the collected ballots from the day before, and just check on things generally. If a machine malfunctions, you may see an equipment technician there. But these are all the people that you'll be able to see in a precinct or in a satellite. And other than you as an authorized representative, you're the only one, save for the voters, that are authorized to be in a precinct or a satellite. So this is a sample voter room layout. I'm sure you've all experienced this. The voter enters, he goes to the check-in table and meets with the election officers there. He checks in and he gets a card. He takes the card to the ballot table where he exchanges that card for a ballot, takes his ballot over to the privacy booths and the voting tables where he marks his ballot, and then he scans his ballot at the end. There's a election official here that will help him put the ballot through the scanner if the voter needs help, and she'll also give him the I voted sticker. You'll notice here outside is the drop box. The drop box may be outside. If so, you'll need to see a dedicated election officer attending that drop box. If it's inside, then it can be under the purview of all of the election officer team and may not have anybody specifically assigned to watch it. In the back here is the ballot marking device for handicapped or language challenged voters, although anybody can request to use the ballot marking device or the old express vote machine. And then off to the side are the chief's table and the provisional specialist. So for those voters who need to vote a provisional ballot, there's a specialist there helping and or the chief helping with provisional ballots. So this is the equipment you'll see. Again, this is the new scanner, DS300 scanner. This is new this year. It's going to tabulate and scan. You'll notice that this whole scanner machine is removable, and it's a singular piece of equipment. So there's no more clamshell replacements. If they need to replace the machine, they may just choose to replace the scanner itself. The e-poll book is the same tablet that they have used in the past. Another item that is new, however, is this green bag. So this is going to be where they store the provisional ballots during each voting day. So you'll see that there is not only a zip tie, but a padlock attached to each bag. And difficult to quite see, but right up here is a slit in the top of the bag where they'll put the ballots, provisional ballots, in the bag for safe storage throughout the voting day. During early voting, they'll continue to have ballot on demand so that regardless of where a voter goes to vote during early voting, he'll get a ballot that's been printed for him that's specific to his home precinct. So whether you vote in Reston or in Mount Vernon, the ballot that you receive when you check in as a voter is going to be the correct ballot for your precinct. If a voter has some handicapped, or the voter is has a English language competency issue, he can vote using this ballot marketing device, and at the end it produces what about the size of a hollerith card, a computer card that becomes his ballot. And then lastly, you'll see the admin tablet. So there's an admin tablet for the chief and the assistant chief, as well as for the provisional specialist. So all of them will be using an admin tablet to enter not only administrative data throughout the day, but the data for each and every provisional ballot that they take. So here's a closer look at the new DS300. This view of it shows it all closed up with the lid down. So there'll be a zip tie on the lid, on the emergency compartment box, and on the ballot compartment box. This shows it open, and you can see the red seal sticker right there covering the media box where the actual storage devices are of the thumb drives. This shows it completely open, and then this is a picture of the scanner in a closed fashion. So here it is closed, and here it is, you can see with the screen open. Once you complete this training and take the quiz, you'll get your authorized representative letter. What is different and new this year is we have two elections. We have the special election on September the 9th and the general election on the November the 4th. So there are two different forms for this. The only difference between the forms is the date that's on them. So the first one shows September 9. The one for the general election shows November 4, but you need to present the appropriate letter for when you're poll watching. So we're going to have 45 days of early voting for the special election, 45 days of early voting for the general election, both elections are going to have absentee ballot processing. So you need to pay attention as to which one you're printing off for when you go vote, so that you take the appropriate authorization letter with you. Like last year, we have a code of conduct. You'll see this language when you go to sign up for shifts. It'll ask that you affirm that you're not only a registered voter, but that you're going to follow the rules and be courteous to all the people that you come in contact with. So what are your responsibilities? Well, we ask you, please don't argue. Please don't, use inflammatory language. If you've got a concern, take it to the chief or the assistant to raise your concern. If the question is answered and your concern is allayed, that's wonderful. That's fine. If not, we've got an 800 number and an email that you can raise your concerns to the Republican Party of Virginia, the RPV helpline. Document the facts. We're asking you to collect information, so please collect that information, whether it's a concern or just regular data. Note that down on your paper report form. We ask you to only speak with the chief or the assistant chief. Please don't talk to the election officers, and don't talk to voters. You really have no authority to speak with voters, give them information, or offer to help them. Also, we're still not allowed to photograph, record, or video anything. So any notes that you take have to be on your report form. So just generally be professional, be polite, but be right. And again, stay current. We've got an updates page with, we call it a resources page. That's where anything new will be posted. So how do you prepare and what do you do? Well, to get ready, we ask that you wear comfortable clothing. We're in the throes of summer right now, but as we move into the fall, it's going to get cooler and rainier. So dress in layers in anticipation of whatever the outside weather is like as it changes, because you may be outside observing curbside voting. Do not wear anything that's political in nature, so no MAGA hats, no political pins or candidate buttons or anything like that. Please don't dress in any kind of military or law enforcement type of attire, unless, of course, you are a policeman or a military person coming in to vote. You need to bring a copy of your authorization letter, your paper report form for each shift that you're working, and a copy of your micro shifter form if you're doing that kind of, if it's election day and you're working as a micro shifter. You may also want to bring your pocket guide as kind of a cheat sheet and a reminder form for how to do things and what's what. So all of this training is condensed into a one-pager for you. Introduce yourself to the chief, present your letter of authorization, get your authorized representative sticker, and begin to poll watch. Now, you may see fleeing voters while you're there, people who come in, they get their ballot, they sit down in the ballot marking area, and they begin to fill out their ballot, and then something happens. They get a phone call, they have a need to go to the restroom, whatever, but they leave the voting area. If that happens, that voter then becomes a fleeing voter, and the chief or assistant chief will take that ballot, write void across the face of the ballot, and that voter's ballot then is null and void, and he has effectively refused his right to vote. If the voter leaves his ballot on the scanner, he's put it on the platen, assuming that it was going to be pulled into the machine to be scanned, and the voter then leaves thinking that all is well, the election officer that's working there or a chief can go ahead and push the ballot through if it hadn't gone through. It's clear that the voter's intention was to vote his ballot, and they can vote it, push it through for him. That's not a fleeing voter. That's just a person that left too quickly. On opening day, we want you to record the opening of the DS300 scanner. So if you remember from last year, there's a public count and a private count. If you read the screen, you can easily read the numbers for each of those. At opening, at 6 o'clock in the morning, that public count should read 0. But you remember the protective count is the cumulative count. We call it the odometer for the machine. That's the cumulative number of ballots that have ever been put through that machine. So we want you to get both numbers. Now, I told you that the DS300s this year are all brand new. So the protective count is probably going to be a low count, but it won't be 0. It'll have some number of testing ballots that have gone through it. So get those two numbers, get the red seal number from the DS300 itself. And then if you're working on election day, you will actually get an email in advance of what all of this data how it should read. You'll get an email with that a day or so ahead of the election day. And you'll be able to compare the numbers that you get in the email with what you see on the screen at the precinct where you're going to be observing. Well, what do you do after the polls open? So there's a lot of flurry between 5 and 6 in the morning when the polls are opening on opening day. As the election officers are setting things up, you're checking for the 0 count. You're making sure everything else is ready to go. But what happens during voting? Well, you're going to just watch how things progress. You'll see how voters come in. You'll watch what they do. You're just in an observation mode. You'll see that voters are showing some form of ID, whether it's digital or say their driver's license or something else, a bank statement or a utility bill. You want to just make sure that everything is happening as you would anticipate it. Observe the chief and the assistant chief. Are they handling things in a normal way? Are they not? Make sure that they're not showing any kind of partisanship towards one party or the other. Make sure that all the forms that need to be filled out are filled out. So you may see a voter who's having someone mark the ballot for him. Will then be sure that a voter assistance form was completed. If someone calls in and wants to vote from their car, this is something that older or infirm voters are eligible for. You can attend with the and observe the voters on the outside and make sure that everything is happening according to the rules. Um, Also, on same-day registrations, you want to report if a voter who's doing a provisional ballot, if it looks like they're going to try to put their ballot in the scanner. That's not what happens. These ballots all have to be adjudicated by the electoral board. So those need to be saved out and not put through the scanner. So you want to keep an eye on anybody that's filling out a provisional ballot, whether it's same day or other type of provisional ballot. Those should not be put in through the scanner. Just a reminder that voters do not need to speak English. That English competency is not an indicator of citizenship. So please don't be challenging a voter if just on the basis of their competency with English. So that we'll stop there and we'll come back and talk about early voting, and we'll see you on the other side.